controlling exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous
to our democracy.
In modern day, words like the Illuminati, the system, or the Matrix are thrown around regularly. But what do these groups actually represent? Headless men sitting around large desks, meticulously planning on how to piss off the common man? Imagine a world where you're consistently pumped with thought after thought, dopamine hit after dopamine hit, video after video, content after content. In a world where the device in your pocket is several degrees more powerful than what sent the first man to the moon, why is so much of the content we consume pointless? Worse than pointless, content consumed on platforms like TikTok, for example, can be quite damaging, in fact. Is this by design? Is this the Matrix striking you down and derailing not just your ability to thrive in life, but just the ability to make ends meet? Why does it seem that the media keeps us in a perpetual state of fear? A never-ending cycle of masked boogeymen who can and will kill you, unless their solution is implemented.
Weapons of mass destruction.
In a time where personal data is sold like baseball cards and attention trading is actually a term, sowing the seeds of uncertainty is an easy task. A common misconception when it comes to critiquing media is where to lie the blame. Although film and entertainment are supposed to be areas of creativity and escapism, what's portrayed on the screen, both big and small, has real-world consequences and effects. Whether it's political messaging, foreign news coverage, or the latest $200 million Disney film, it's been shown time and time again how the media changes the way we look at the world, ourselves, and the people around us. One consistent complaint you hear when critiquing media is, why do you care so much? It's just a movie. It's just a show. They're just... Well, the truth is, it's not just anything. It's a reflection of our society and culture. Media shapes perception in ways that most people don't have time to deal with. In 1915, a film titled The Birth of a Nation was released. Based on a novel called The Klansman, Birth of a Nation has been called the most racist film in the history of Hollywood. The film portrays black characters, who are played by white people in blackface, as unintelligent and sexually aggressive towards white women. The Ku Klux Klan are portrayed as the heroic force in the movie, necessary not only to preserve American values, but to protect the oh-so-coveted white woman. The film's creator, D.W. Griffith, was not only working with but sought out counsel from the U.S. military for assistance and advice on other projects. A closer look into the film industry shows that the government has a long history of influencing the entertainment industry, having a strong presence on productions by approving scripts and even funding certain projects, as long as the message is right. Documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act give us a glimpse of the scope of the Department of Defense's influence on the entertainment industry and media as a whole from 1911 to 2017. It's believed that the DoD provided military equipment and advice, and this event allowed members of the military to make appearances in exchange for some degree of control within the script of 814 films. If you include these with the number of TV titles influenced as well, the total comes to 1,947 pieces of media, including long-running shows like 24, Homeland, and NCIS. The government's reach when it comes to media production is further than you think. Take the Transformer franchise, for example. The same FOIA report found that the DoD paid the filmmakers to gain very early influence over the scripts. For their cooperation, the movie was granted 12 types of Air Force aircraft and troops from 4 different bases as extras in the movie. And when you watch the actual content within these movies themselves, they're objectively war porn. where the message is clear. Trust the officials, no matter the cost. The first Iron Man movie, often heralded as the first real film in the MCU, follows a familiar plotline to prove the benevolence of American domination. At first, Tony Stark is a stereotypically rich playboy, but his eventual capture, torture, and imprisonment change him into the hero we know as Iron Man. Iron Man uses sophisticated tech to kill generic Muslim terrorists, just like back home. The U.S. Air Force rewarded the filmmakers by providing aircraft and airmen as extras, along with script and technical advice for the project. Take the film version of George Orwell's Animal Farm. Film scholars and authors point out that this is a long-time example of a film that's been directly affected by the CIA. In the case of Animal Farm, the film's ending is changed to encourage revolts against communist dictatorships. Ironically, at the same time, in the real world, the CIA was overthrowing the democratically elected governments in both Iran and Guatemala. Think about how many movies you've seen personally that have a funny talking Russian as the main enemy. Is this by coincidence? In 2024, the approved narrative has evolved. However, where there's still hints of classic anti-Russian sentiment and fear-mongering against communism, there's been some additions as well. In contemplating China, particularly its government, what thoughts come to mind? Although the media has not shied away from criticizing them, it is difficult to dismiss the validity of those critiques in certain cases. When most people think about the CCP, they picture an oppressive regime that spies on their own citizens, ranks human beings based on their perceived value, floods their airwaves day in and day out with the current message, and if you speak out against the government, you just might go missing. The difference between the government propaganda in China versus the United States is that they know the game over there, while Americans are much more likely to accept the narrative given to them. Chinese citizens have been taught not to believe everything they see and hear in the media. They know they're being propagandized, so it's widely accepted that you read between the lines and work within the system to do what's right for you and your family. Propaganda and influence in general is subtle. It's built into our everyday lives through algorithms, programs, and social norms. It's a message hidden inside a Marvel movie, or a symbol flashing between your screen when you're scrolling on TikTok. And the more and more we use it, the better it learns us, and the more in depth it can manipulate you and steal your time.
So if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump,
and you ain't blind.
You are not instinct, bitch, I'm going super safe. I can't trust an Android, my iPhone been ringing. I might go and cop another one, make my way to the Europeans, baby. I'll be back next week, only getting better every season. Just say la vie to my old girl, okay, one more time, then I'm leaving. Peace and deuces, truth is, I can't fuck